Hi guys, and welcome to Ancestral Recall. I'm your host, Eli Kaplan. Ancestral Recall is a magic show on YouTube that deals with over 20 years of the history of Magic the Gathering, set by set. Today, we're starting our look at 2005's Betrayers of Kamigawa, the second set in Kamigawa block, and the set that finally gave us the long-awaited Ninja Tribe. Finally, it was time to allow the Pirates of Mercadia to face against their most fiendish foes. No, seriously, this really is the Magic set about ninja. The set's expansion symbol was a shuriken, a throwing star, and the ninja stepped into the war between the humans and the kami and left a huge, if silent, footprint. Today, we're going to look at the story, the mechanics, and the cycles. A ninja or two might sneak in, though. Story! The Kami's War's legend continues, as Toshiro Umezawa, master of paper word spells, figures out that the reason that the kami have decided to eliminate their worshippers hinges around the theft of something very important. Honda, daimyo of Eiganjo, has taken the princess of the spirit world, the progeny of Okagachi, the lord of spirits, and imprisoned her within his lair. This entity appears on the artifact That Which Was Taken. By harnessing her powers, Honda has attained effective immortality and sight beyond sight, which he believes will allow him to establish the ideal empire. Yes, Kamigawa block's villain is aligned with white mana. While Honda plays with his newfound power, ignoring his daughter's pleas to return to sanity, the land is being ravaged by the spirits and by the appearance of Okagachi. Okagachi appears as a giant mass of serpent-like heads, and anything that it approaches is obliterated. Betrayers of Kamigawa suggest that the humans have been betrayed by their ninjas, but that's not actually the case. The ninja are not allies to the spirits. The ninja are centered in black and blue, and possess the ability to come into play with ninjutsu mid-combat. Much like Fallen Empire's Neckrite or Mind Stab Thrall, if a ninja can connect with your opponent, horrible effects happen. If your opponent attacks you with an innocuous ornithopter, and you ignore the harmless creature and don't block, a ninja can jump into the battlefield attacking, presumably descending from the kite. And when the ninja hits you, it hurts in many different ways. They can exile cards from your graveyard, bounce a creature to its owner's hand, draw a card, force you to sacrifice a creature, among other effects. You can even reanimate something. The threat of a ninja forces a player to go on the defensive, looking for eyes in every shadow, feeling the threats of the unknown around every corner. And when the player decides to go on the offense, that's exactly when the guard is down, and the ninja can disrupt their best laid plans. Ninja were far weaker in combat than their samurai counterparts. They didn't wield huge elemental attacks or great prowess with a weapon, but they did manage to turn the tide of many duels. Betrayers features one new keyword, offering. This is one of those annoying keywords that only appears on the rare cycle, and that's it. I don't like cycles with unique keywords. Anyway, the patrons of the Kitsune, Soratami, Aki, Orochi, and Nezumi are powerful spirits that can be hastened by sacrificing one of their followers to be played at instant speed, with a mana reduction equal to the cost of the willing sacrifice. Each of these spirits complements abilities specific to that tribe. The Soratami thrive on activated abilities that require their player to return lands to their hand, so their patron lets you dump lands directly into play. Normally, this part of the colored pie has absolutely nothing to do with blue, but the Soratami's angle of attack makes it necessary. The Kitsune give you life when someone attacks. That's not very flavorful, but it is white. The Nezumi thrive on destruction, sapping their opponent's strength with every card that goes to the graveyard. The Aki crave to attack, and the patron of the Orochi twists the force into producing preposterous amounts of mana. I've hit all the patrons on Momir Basic on Modo, and they're pretty good even by today's creature power creep standards. Unlike the vast majority of Kami, these spirits remain loyal to their followers. As for who the actual Betrayers of Kamigawa are, look at this guy. Cunning Bandit. This bandit starts his life as a simple, human, gray ogre. But when spirit energy happens nearby, that is, you cast spirits or arcane spells, he builds up Ki, a Taoist conception of life energy. Ki represents harmony between body and mind, and nature. So as his affinity for the spirit world builds, he can suddenly transform into Azamuki, Treachery Incarnate. Azamuki can exchange its key counters to threaten opponent's creatures, easily swinging the battle against the enemy. Cunning Bandit is part of an uncommon cycle. Faithful Squire becomes Kaisol, Memory of Loyalty. See, he remembers being loyal to his human masters, but that doesn't mean he's going to continue that way as a spirit, though. Kalo Jushi flips into a 3/4 that can play mini mana leaks. He didn't care about his fellow scholars. The Hired Muscle, or as I prefer to call him, Hired Goon, allows his spirits to intimidate potential blockers. And Budoka Pupil transforms into the woods-destroying Ichiga, who topples oaks. I keep confusing him with a spirit who keeps eating strawberries. This cycle has a risk-reward challenge. The key activations are quite powerful and can easily swing games, but sometimes you just need to take the fast route. Another cycle, the Baku, also relies on key counters. These spirits are beasts surrounded by various odd objects. Waxmane Baku, a brutal candelabra, lets you tap down an opponent's army. Quillmane Baku lets you bounce a creature. Its mana cost is incredibly high, keeping it from being of use generally, but Quillmane did work reasonably well against creature tokens. Being forced to tap made it that much worse. Skullmane Baku requires you to tap it, which also makes it worse, but at least -X helps you manage combat. Blademane Baku can do a lot of damage, but requires you to get it through, and that's not something your opponents are likely to let happen. Hellmane Baku is a passable mana fixer, but why couldn't it have been a bear? Let's take a second to talk about the other cycles of the set. I love Kamigawa's art, and one of the coolest cycles of spells involves fish. No, I'm not talking about merfolk, I'm talking about actual fish. The Shoal cycle is a callback to Alliances and Masks block, letting players play X spells for free, substituting a card of the appropriate color as the cost for X. Disrupting Shoal gets a bit of modern play today. It's a technical counterspell. Sickening Shoal is very similar to Alliance's Contagion, but it only hits one creature. It's also got puking fish. Ugh. Nourishing Shoal is a callback to Stream of Life, but at least it's instant speed. Blazing Shoal acts as Enrage, giving a creature a massive pump, in theory. Combined with Infect, this can win a game in an incredible hurry, like turn 2, which is why it's banned in Modern. And Shining Shoal lets you redirect damage dealt. It's a powerful white combat trick. I'll tell you a story with this card in a bit. As well as spinning off an old cycle, Betrayus just takes one wholesale and reprints it. Urza's Destiny featured Eradicate, a 4-mana kill spell that didn't just kill one creature, it exiled every copy in the opponent's hand, graveyard, and library. Just kill them all and let the kami sort it out. Extra copies in play were allowed to live though. Green got Splinter, which does the same for artifacts. White got Scour, which exiled enchantments. Red got Sowing Salt, which dealt with non-basic lands. Hit this against a Tron deck, and that's it. The band is not getting back together. Blue can Quash, which counters instants and sorceries alone. It's definitely the worst of the cycle, but I loved hitting players with cards from this cycle. The one that got the most play in Standard was Sowing Salt, which could break up the Urza's lands really good. Sadly, I was the guy playing the Urzatron most of the time. The last cycle to talk about is the Genji, spirits of the 5 major land types. These are not your garden variety spirits, though. Instead of being creatures, the Genji are enchantments, which enchant a land of the appropriate type. From there, the land's controller can pay 2 to turn the land into a mighty force, whether it's a smashing 4/4 forest, a 3/2 flying island, a frozen shade-like 2/2 swamp, a 2/5 lifelinking plains, or a 6/1 mountain. And if you can assemble all 5 colors of mana, you can turn any land into an 8/12 trampler with Genji of the Realm. This is the closest we can get to the spirit of Kamigawa itself, arguably as a representation of Okagachi. The beautiful thing of this cycle is, if the land goes to the graveyard, the enchantment just returns to your hand. Killing the land itself? Well, that's virtually impossible. While Genji of the Realm is one of the less exciting things to do for Wooburg, monocolor decks that constantly want attackers may appreciate this cycle. So let's return to the ninja. Humans in blue, and rats in black. The ninja are all saboteurs, wrecking opponents when they get through, and they can sneak their way through by coming into play attacking at a steep discount, at the cost of bouncing one of your own attackers back to hand. Now that attacker has to be unblocked. The master, Higure, the Still Wind, can even recruit fellow ninja while clearing the way for his brothers and sisters. The most commonly seen ninja in Limited was Ninja of the Deep Hours, who can come in on turn 2 and draw its controller a card every time it hits. Whew, that is advantage. Coupled with removal or bounce spells, Deep Hours is a huge tempo play. Mistblade Shinobi fulfilled a similar role, bouncing a creature, but it was hard to get a repeat performance. The pre-release foil, Ink Eyes, Servant of Oni, had the most devastating effect. This rat could reanimate a creature from your opponent's graveyard, as well as dealing a hefty 5 damage. Regeneration made the deal even sweeter. After she hits the table, you're not going to need to be that sneaky anymore. You can just bash and regenerate, and eventually your opponent's going to have to find a way to deal with Ink Eyes, or that's it. One time, I got a 5-for-1 in the Moto draft with Okiba Gang Shinobi. I was attacking with a 3-1 Bloodthirsty Ogre, and my opponent had an empty board. He discarded the white spell to fuel a 3-point Shining Shoal, planning to redirect the damage to my Ogre. Unfortunately for him, I used Ninjutsu to return the Ogre to my hand and bring out an attacking Okiba Gang, which promptly forced him to discard 2. So that's 2 cards he discarded to Shining Shoal, 2 cards that the ninja forced him to discard, and I saved my Ogre. 5-for-1. It's hard to get a blowout like that in Limited, but with Ninja, it could happen. One interesting fact about the Ninja is that they led to one of the most powerful and cool cards ever printed, Baleful Strix. This card was designed specifically to interact well with Ninja in Plane Chase as a cheap path to get them through, while interacting favorably with Bounce. And so we got a card that brutalized EDH, Legacy, and Vintage. Oh well. Sorry guys, but we're going to finish up here and wrap up by looking at the rest of the set next time, including one of the most powerful pieces of equipment of all time. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this show, please leave a comment and hit that like button, and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you're new to the channel, go back and check out some of my older stuff. I think you're going to enjoy it. This is Eli Kaplan for Ancestral Recall, signing off. Good games, and good luck.